Welcome. This is David Boles, Human Meme. Today's topic, a letter from Anthea. It's always wonderful to get feedback on the work you produce and put out into the world. My lovely new friend and loyal Human Meme podcast listener, Anthea Syrokou, spelled Anthrasyrokou, recently shared her thoughts in marvelous and precise detail concerning my How Not to Paint podcast. And I'm about to share her ideas and my responses to her with you now. But first, a side note. When I type an email on my American iPhone keyboard, Anthea is automatically translated to Anthrax. Really, it's true. Try it. Type Anthea on your iPhone in the email app and just see what happens. Dear Anthrax, thank you for your support. Apple is funny. As I correspond with Anthrax, I mean Anthea, my iPhone is slowly learning how to properly spell her name for me. But that doesn't mean I'm not now endeared to Anthea as Anthrax Syrokou, because I am. I wonder how changing her Twitter name to Anthrax Syrokou would go over with her followers. I don't know if Anthea is comfortable having her new New York street name as Anthrax Syrokou, but if she disavows it, don't despair. That great name isn't going away. I'll start a new boy band in Orlando, Florida, and call them Anthrax Syrokou. Live and in person from the Omaha Civic Auditorium, Anthrax Syrokou. Finally, if Miss Syrokou, also known as Anthrax in our beloved heart, had not given me her kind permission to share her letter with you, I probably would have used it anyway. Chewed it up a bit, used a piece here and there, under the doctrine of fair use. And I would have gone all Random House on her to her J.D. Salinger. That's another podcast reference. Just search for Salinger at humanmeme.com and you'll be laughing. Now, finally, onward with a letter from Anthea. Oh, and How Not to Paint was a podcast that argued against the move in America to have some for-profit copy-me painting sessions while drinking wine. We also discussed the nature of the artist and the purpose for creating art in the first place. That podcast is also waiting for you on humanmeme.com. Anthea writes, this episode posed so many questions, and I would like to share some of my thoughts. I completely agree that a production-like process is definitely not the way to paint or produce any form of art. It's a bit like teaching kids that way, ignoring individual needs and honest self-expression, which should be part of learning in an ideal world. I say, agreed. Machine-like creation of art is dismaying. And while I understand there are professional copyists employed by art museums and universities across the world to fix and actually, in some cases, copy masterpieces, but that is a business with a purpose. Anthea continues, I also feel that, as you say, everyone has suffered. Yes, they have, and some are more aware of their suffering than others. Many repress uncomfortable thoughts and feelings because, for various reasons, like culture, upbringing, or the intensity of pain, they choose to suppress it and hide behind smiles and laughter. Many feel it is self-indulgent to dwell on the negative. These people could benefit very much from art and delving deep into their pain, just like many do in art therapy. This is where psychology and art and any form of expression intertwine and cannot exist as separate entities. My reply: agreed. Art and emotion must be intertwined to be effective. The right artist can be a cool, emotionless assassin, dealing only with the end product, while other artists may need to more fully explore the full flora of the emotional world to find success. Anthea continues, I strongly feel that many people have been told all their lives that being an artist is not a responsible job, or that they aren't the creative type. They should do something more responsible. Such comments throughout childhood form false beliefs, and creativity is suppressed. These people, once given a chance, can be extremely talented. One of your podcast episodes highlights this. A female student in your class was told that she is not at all musically inclined. You thought that there must be some instrument she could play. I thought that was very admirable. I respond, yes, this is an important aspect of creation and living in the human that commands more exploration. There's a future podcast I have in development about not letting the work you do define who you are. You don't have to be who you are because of where you're from. And another podcast is also waiting, and that deals with the idea that we should never let our hatreds define us. And both of those podcasts are tied to emotion and art and purpose in the world. Anthea, I also feel that many people who are positive have taken on a role because there are so many around them who have given up, and they feel that it is their job to inspire them and bring them out of their misery. No one strives to be miserable. It is not an admirable state to be in, but we do have to own the good and the bad. Becoming self-aware of all aspects of our personality, embracing them, and expressing our true self through art can create art that is not narrow-minded. The artist has a balanced, clear view of the world. I say, right. People prefer to be content, if not, even happy, if they have a choice. Deciding every day to be miserable in the world is not a common want, and one that must be addressed for every well-being. Strive for neutral, and don't live on the pendulum where you swing between the highs and the lows, never resting in between. Anthea says, I agree drinking wine may not be the best way to paint, although one glass does not make one drunk, just pleasantly tipsy. We mustn't ignore the fact that many of the exceptional works of art were created from the warped mind of an artist who was intoxicated. Even the geniuses of our time dabbled in drug use. Sigmund Freud comes to mind. Say I. I'm not sure about the alcohol effect. I'm not a big drinker, but I know some people can get busted on a single glass of wine. It dismays me, though, that some may feel the need to artificially change who they are in order to feel something in creation. Freud's cocaine addiction is noted, and after all this time, it is still sad. Anthea, there is danger that art can be elitist, only for the miserable and anyone who chooses to try to accentuate the positive in life and hides their pain or is not aware of it, may feel intimidated that they don't fit into that stereotype. I think we also have to separate being self-aware of suffering and depression. They are two different things. Many think that to be an artist, they should strive to be a pessimistic, depressed person. I personally do not like looking at art that confronts, but many artists see only their own misery and portray a bleak, narrow-minded view of the world. As much as I like looking at it, I wouldn't want it in my home on a daily basis. My reply: good points all around. I agree suffering is not always necessary to create good art, but self-awareness is always the point of the spear in creation, and your point about hanging something awful in your home is not really the way one would want to start an artist in collection. You collect what pleases and connects, not what depresses by purpose. Anthea, a self-aware artist can show different aspects of themselves and how they perceive the world from their own experiences. Nature, nurture. This, as you say, can only be done in solitude by looking deep into their thoughts, their soul, their pain, and their hope and joy. They can see the heartache, ugliness, and beauty in life. Me. Yes, that looking inside and outside and having an all-around perspective is important. And I'm not sure it's being taught in any arts program in the world, or if it is just too dangerous to ask an amateur to duel with the beasts of the world on their own for a credit or a grade. Anthea, the danger of excluding people that don't fit into a stereotype of the miserable artist is that art will become something for the few. Many teachers judge students who aren't talkative, and they don't choose them for certain roles like acting in a play. We all have seen that some of the best actors are shy. Many people who focus on the positive are capable of creating something that depicts their pain and ugliness of the world, as well as beauty and strength, if they look truthfully deep into their soul. The ones that are always happy usually have a deep, lingering pain in their heart. They choose to hide it. Whenever these people harm themselves, many are stunned. They could be able to express more than the artist who is always depressed. Me. Perfectly argued. I have nothing to add that wouldn't be precious. Back to Anthea. I also think people who don't express their pain might do it through art. And people who are always miserable may also express something positive if they give themselves permission. Depressed artists can only create something that evokes misery and despair. Me. Isn't it possible for a depressed artist to create something beautiful and warm and wanted because it is unreachable? The fatal grasp that realizes the dream. Anthea. Love this episode so much. I agree that a true artist should look deep into their soul, in solitude, and that it is not the way to teach art, copying stroke by stroke. An artist should delve into their inner self, just like they would in therapy. Me. Thank you. Anthea. As for wine, many hairdressers also offer wine. This is probably a tactic to charge us more and to do whatever they want with our hair. We'll be too drunk to know the difference. Me. Ma. Drinking is the soul of every despair and the heart of every feathering. Anthea. Just wanted to share my thoughts. I won't make it a habit, I promise. Me. Now this is the first thing I disagree with in your fine letter. Make it a habit. Responding to calls put out into the world can be helpful and enlightening for me and others you may never meet or know, but you've helped anyway, because you took a kind moment to set your thoughts on the table for airing and examination and the eating and the drinking. Thank you, Anthea. And thank you for listening. Be a human meme.